I have a little delay. Hey everybody, Mike Evans at 4GK Martial Arts, here to talk to you this month about our parenting skill, which is prompting. Now, very often as a martial arts instructor, we get a lot of parents coming in that are frustrated with their children, frustrated with the child's behaviors, and they say my child just makes poor decisions. Sometimes they'll even say my child is a little turd. I don't know what to do. That's why we're here. We're here to help. Now, in class, there are a lot of tools that we deploy, and one of them is prompting. And this is one of the ones that we very often recommend that parents take home with them to help their children really develop those more positive behaviors. When a child says that, when a parent says that my child makes poor choices, poor decisions, they're not really thinking things through. First of all, we counsel them about that child's age and stage of development. We want to make sure that our expectations match what that child is actually capable of. And once we get past that, one of the tools we use is this prompting. So if we look at why a child might make a poor decision, one of them is just they're not paying attention. Kids are, so new to the world that everything attracts their attention and pulls them in so many different directions at once that sometimes they just see something that catches them and off they go, and they make a poor choice because of it. Other times they are making that poor decision because it's just a habit. And here's what I mean by that. If something is difficult, learning how to tie shoes, you might get an argument out of that child every single morning. It becomes a fight to get them to put on their shoes. Why? Because they discovered that it's far easier to argue and get mom or dad to help them tie the shoe. Once they realize that, it becomes a habit to argue about everything so that mom or dad will help them with that. Sometimes they realize that failing on purpose is far easier than trying and maybe failing and looking bad in front of their friends. It really depends on what their age is. So whether they're just not paying attention or they're making a habit of making these poor choices, we have to understand that we have to look at the actions and not the child. The child is really trying to have something positive happen. They're just not always going about it the right way. So our job as parents and coaches and teachers is to kind of help them learn how to do that. So how do you foster these good behaviors? And this is where prompting comes in. And I have a couple strategies that are going to help you out. A few things for you to try. Now, keep in mind, when we start using a tool like prompting, this is not about a one and done. You're not going to use this magical technique and it's going to work every time. This is going to take some time. We're actually helping the child rewire the way their brain works, the way those neurotransmitters are going to affect them. So it is going to take some time. Just like it takes time to get stronger or lose weight or learn a new skill, we're teaching them a new skill about how to make better decisions. So here's the first tip. We want to make sure that we catch them being good. Very often as parents, we just have an expectation that the child is going to be good. We wait for them to make a mistake, then we're angry, or we're counseling them, or we're yelling at them, or it becomes a negative behavior for us as parents, showing them that hey, we're unhappy with them. This stimulates a lot of cortisol in the child's brain, which actually decreases their ability to learn. They may stop that activity really quickly in the moment because they know that whatever they did just upset mom or dad. So they might cease everything. Seems like everything's better, but really that cortisol creates a stressful imprint on the brain. We want to try to do away with that. That actually inhibits the learning process. So we want to find ways to catch them being good. For example, if you're walking through the house and you just happen to see them stop and pick up the dog's bone and move it out of the way of where people normally walk. Catch them at that and say, wow, that was great that you thought to do that so nobody trips on it. That showed a lot of responsibility. And when you do praise, label the praise. Don't just say, oh, hey, good job, because they might not connect what you're praising to what just happened. Praise the intention behind that, or the character trait behind that we would like to see more of it. If they're pouring some milk and they use 2 hands on the container, Tell them, that shows great responsibility or great forethought or great, they're paying attention to being careful. Tell them why you're proud of them. Now, this doesn't always have to be, okay, now I want you to pour some milk and use 2 hands. Good job, you used 2 hands. Find ways to catch them randomly when they don't think you're even watching. Then call them out for being good. This reinforces that, everybody wants those positive neurotransmitters, the happy chemicals, that dopamine, oxytocin. These are the things that make us feel good. So when you do that, you make them feel good, and they'll start to find more ways to make that positive decision, because now they associate themselves with that positive character trait. It's very hard for a person, even a child, to violate their sense of self, who they believe they are. If they believe they are a responsible person, if they believe they are a careful person, they're going to find more ways to be responsible, to be caring, to be careful, to be respectful. So look for those things and then praise them for it, even when they don't expect it. Next, we want to find ways to set them up for success. Now, this does not mean give them a participation trophy every time they tie their shoes. We want to really gamify the behavior experience. Children learn through play. And don't fool yourself, adults learn through play too. We just call it other things. We call it simulations, or we call it, on-the-job training. It's play. So knowing that humans learn best through play, when we can gamify the decision-making experience, they'll find ways to win. Humans like to win. It's part of our survival instinct. So for example, got to get ready for school. You tell your child, hey, I know that you can get yourself ready for school, but we're going to take it to the next level. If you can get ready for school in less than 10 minutes, I'm going to time you. If you could do it in less than 10 minutes, I'll give you an extra 10 minutes of playtime before bed tonight. Ready? Go. Hit that stopwatch. Watch how fast that kid gets up, takes off, and goes. If they're not a morning person, we might find something a little more appropriate, but it's just one idea. And what happens is, when they successfully accomplish challenges, they build a habit of enjoying the challenge. There's a lot of research right now into how winning, legitimately winning, stimulates lots of, aside from the happiness chemicals, it stimulates testosterone development in the body. Now, very often we think about testosterone for muscle development or aggression, but really testosterone is also a major component we're finding in things like confidence. So when we set them up with a challenge that's difficult but accomplishable, and they meet that challenge, not only do they get those happy chemical releases from whatever the reward is, they recognize themselves as winners, people who can do. People who can do very often don't spend the effort explaining to the world why they can't do, or why they shouldn't do, or why they're going to do something else. They stop becoming excuse makers, and they start just finding ways to go do the right thing and do what needs to be done. So really find ways to challenge your kids, but set them up for success. Next, we want to build the good. Notice that these strategies so far have been about building good habits. The key is to really focus more on building good habits than on trying to eliminate negative habits. Now, it's very difficult for the human brain, the subconscious, to recognize a negative. So anybody that's ever been to like hypnosis to stop smoking, very rarely will a hypnotist or a psychotherapist that wants to change your behavior tell you what not to do. They won't say, when you want to smoke, don't smoke, because the subconscious doesn't really understand that. They'll give you an alternative. Next time you feel like smoking, I want you to take a glass and drink a glass of water. They've built something positive instead of removing the negative. And that's really what we want to do here. Children's brains are so moldable that these strategies are going to literally rewire the way their brains work and mold them into people who have self-discipline, accountability, and these are really things that will bring about those good behaviors. Finally, we want to make sure we are giving them appropriate choices to give them a sense of control. Kids like to feel as if they have some control, and in their lives, realistically, they don't often. We tell them what to eat, when to get up, when to go to bed, when to go to school, what to learn at school, how to take a test, what they're worth based on that test measurement. We have so much control over the kids. Think about how you would feel in your life living like that. I mean, kids are really no different. They're human beings. So instead of you telling your child to get dressed and then having that all-out argument that I don't want to get dressed, I don't want to go to school, I don't want this, we've set them up a negative. We want to give them some control by giving them a choice. Lay out 2 outfits, both of which are appropriate. Instead of saying, hey, get dressed, we have to go to school, which triggers that argument. Hey, it's time to get dressed. I was wondering, do you like this outfit better or this outfit better? Now the control is not about whether they get dressed or not. It's about which outfit they choose. They might even choose to mix and match. And if they match the stripes with the polka dots and they got plaid socks, and don't worry about it. I mean, fashion sense will develop or not. That's why I wear all black. But it's okay. You know, we're not having that argument, and we're giving them the opportunity to make a good choice. If they never get the chance to make a good choice, they're not going to learn how to do it. So give them a little sense of control over things, and you know, prompt them to be part of their day, not an adversary trying to fight for their own destiny. So there's some tips for you. I want you to give it a try over the next week or so. We have some holidays coming up. Holidays are especially trying times. Sometimes when we're dealing with children, there's a lot of excitement, especially eating holidays like we have coming up. Sugar in the system, excitement with haven't seen my cousins in so long, gifts, and strange Uncle Harold that always wants you to, you know, sit on his lap and tell you war stories. And there's a lot of things that go on that kids aren't used to. Prompt them to help them through it. Let them know what they should be doing before they have to make that decision for themselves. So give it a try over the next couple weeks. Next week, I'm actually going to post a worksheet for you guys that'll have some specific things. So a little challenge for you. We're going to gamify this so that you can see how you're doing with prompting. You know, really take a look at, am I doing a good job? Am I providing my child the information and the opportunities that they need to really show me those good behaviors? So thanks for your attention. Have fun with this. Don't make it a chore. All right. If you're having fun, the child is going to have fun. And through having fun and playing the game, everybody's going to learn something. I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.